Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched
Hello everybody and welcome to tonight's coverage of Wings and Wheels MX-5 Series action presented by GGT Energy Solutions. This evening we're excited to bring you coverage of all the action from iRacing's virtuous Lucas Oil Indianapolis Raceway Park in the state of Indiana. Maconi Entertainment is here to bring you action from all types of racing. Includes the weekly Fast Friday series. No matter what you're racing, we can bring the action to life. My name's Justin Prince. Alongside the booth tonight is Ron Mons, with DJ Lyon working the controls as our producer. Wings and Wheels, once again, for those who have not seen this series, consists of drivers racing in Mazda MX-5 cars. The inaugural season so far has seen some interesting combinations so far, including the Daytona Oval, the last time we were on the air for the 4th of July matinee special. Now tonight, with these drivers getting geared up between the real world and virtual drivers, we go short track racing in MX-5's Raw.
Oh, this is going to be a hoot. Short tracks are going to bring out some short tempers with these drivers, and considering that we're towards the beginning of the season as well, but we are rapidly approaching that mid part as well, these drivers may start to feel a bit more aggressive than they have been in the opening rounds. And here at this track, there are a heck of a lot of curveballs facing these drivers tonight, but it's also going to be a whole lot of fun all throughout tonight.
Of course, the road course next week when it comes to Mid-Ohio on August the 1st. That road course swing will take us basically all the way through the month of August with VIR. Then you have Laguna Seca all the way back in September past the gateway date. So, let's talk about the series so far. Joshua Soto leading the way in the point standings. Nathan Nicholson is in second. Then it's Piatek along with Jeansonne, should say, along with Deacon Greenfield in your top 5. So far, been very competitive amongst the drivers that have made the start so far. We'll see how things now shuffle after Daytona and after IRP, especially here tonight on the racetrack. But speaking of IRP as the combination here, Ron, a unique one for the Mazda MX-5s, not usually a typical one.
Oh, definitely not. I don't think I've ever seen a Mazda MX-5 race around IRP. However, harkening my mind back through the many holes of iRacing history, many moons ago, the official Mazda MX-5 series ran on, I believe, USA International Speedway. So it's not entirely off the wall, but it's definitely not normal for these drivers either. And going from the high banks of Daytona, 2.5 miles on the 4th of July, a small old break in the schedule, bringing us here to Lucas Oil Raceway Park. This tiny little short track, a tick over a half a mile. These two tracks that we visited the past 2 races here for the season could not be any more different, but I still think we saw an exciting race a couple weeks ago on the 4th of July. This, I think, maybe could be even more exciting than the action we had at Daytona. We'll just have to wait and see.
So, lots to talk about when it comes to tonight. Drivers are currently in the midst of their final preparations here when it comes to this. What are some of the main things you're keeping in mind here for the Mazda MX-5s compared to, say, the trucks that are here this week as well and officials?
Oh, that is a very good question you asked me, JP. I'll tell you what, the main thing I'm keeping my attention on is probably going to be how these drivers really attack this race. You have to think of pit strategy as well, fuel. I mean, their drivers are running at 100% fuel, but they will probably change tires about 2 or 3 times throughout this race. I'm also trying to figure out how these drivers are really going to attack this race circuit and the race itself. We have a 125 lap race in front of us here this evening, and there's plenty of opportunities to make some sort of mistake that can ruin your night. And when it comes to the circuit itself, IRP, you could really call it a blast from the past. It's an old school track in the world of oval racing. It's a pretty fun track to drive around as well, and you've got variable banking to deal with as well. I'm really just curious to see how these drivers are going to approach the race tonight.
And a lot of the drivers coming into tonight, coming off some solid performances last time out. Soto picked up the win in points-paying race festivities. He's been looking very solid in terms of his preparation on the oval. Jeansonne also looking pretty solid so far when it comes to the preparations. The real world points leader for the Mazda MX-5s in its series in real life. So a lot of competitors doing well. A lot of these competitors, in fact, doing strong when it comes to real world racing. Not just Aaron, but also Sally Mott amongst those that are coming off strong finishes. Mott, in particular, the highest running female in the last race, got her an extra $2,000. So on that note, we have a couple more moments before we get things started for tonight. 125 laps we're on. A lot of laps for these MX-5s to race on.
Yeah, I feel like these drivers may feel like they're stuck in Groundhog Day tonight, running 125 laps around any track, even one that's only 0.6 of a mile. That's going to put a little bit of a mental strain on some of these drivers tonight. I'm curious if, I wouldn't call it Manani, but if these drivers running around this track for so long may bring out some mistakes. We'll just have to wait and see.
Let's find out how they'll play things out tonight. 12 drivers make their way to the racetrack this evening. Here's a look at how they will begin the action. Nathan Nicholson starts on the pole. He set the pole time by a couple 100s over Joshua Soto. Then Jeansonne rounding out the top three with Richardson inside the fourth position. Deacon Greenfield in fifth. Andrew Gilliland start in sixth. Trey Burke starts off with the next page in seventh. Keith Carpenter in eighth. Burns and Mott, your top 10. Mulvihill starts off 11th, and Matthew Wyatt is going to become your last starter, just entering the session now, in fact, right after qualifying came to a close. So 12 drivers looking to take the racetrack tonight. Let's talk about when it comes to your Maconi Setup Shop race analysis. Maconi Setup Shop, the official setup shop of eNASCAR. 125 laps we're on. What are your keys to win this one?
Well, I think the main key coming into this race is just patience. Keeping a calm and cool and collected head on your shoulders is going to be critical in deciding whether or not you're going to win this race or whether you're going to end up in the barriers. You really just need to stay with it here. This race, it may feel like it's going to last forever just based off the lap count, but this broadcast is meant to be an hour long, so it's not like we're going to be here for an extended period of time. I have a feeling that the key to win this race is just remaining as patient as you possibly can. Even if you need to take up some yoga after this or try and meditate or whatever you need to do, just remaining patient is going to be huge in deciding who is going to come out of tonight's race victorious.
So we'll see who remains the most composed, is the way you can put it, for tonight. I want a prediction. Who's going to get the job done?
Oh boy, you're really putting me on the spot here, and I'll tell you what, I am confident in Josh Soto. I have commentated on road races that have featured Josh Soto in the past, races that have been won by Josh Soto. He is a very fast race car driver, along with all the 12 drivers that are going to be taking the green here in the not too distant future. Soto, he is very fast. He is a force to be reckoned with week in and week out. That's who I'm keeping my eyes on, JP. I don't know about you, but that guy has my attention.
Well, it's time to see how they play things out tonight. 12 MX-5s ready to go zoom and Berber around the racetrack. Glad to have you with us here on Maconi Entertainment. Wings and Wheels MX-5 Series action is underway from IRP. And a good run outside. Already Soto to the race lead. This track known for the stock cars to be outside dominant. A lot of people preferring the flat in the MX-5s to start.
Yeah, you can see some drivers running the wall hang through 3 and 4 at the end of this first lap of the race. Fantastic start from Josh Soto. He is going to be leading them around to lead that first lap of the race, but we're already seeing it put on full display here, JP. Lots of drivers running various different lines all around this racetrack.
About 3 wide for some of the drivers. In fact, squished out there that time was Glenn Richardson from the high side. Deacon Greenfield already getting zoomed out from the outside. So momentum-based racing, but it seems as though if you're able to get a run outside on somebody, you can get a chance to clear.
And surprisingly so, despite the fact that seeming like this is going to be a momentum-based race, not a whole lot of drivers running that outside wall like we saw towards the end of that very first lap of the race. It's about 12 degrees of banking towards that outside wall compared to the 7.5 down on the inside line, but these drivers kind of going for a half and half compromise.
Crash, Richardson, Burke, first yellow flag of the evening, as there was contact with Burke having tech issues down the front straightaway. Our first yellow flag.
And I think we'll try and find a replay to see exactly what happened there, but he said, JP, that he was having some technical issues. Maybe that could have been the reason why this incident happened. Seeing a car blinking in and out is not ideal when you're going side by side. Here's what happened.
And right there, you see what happens? The blink really must have played a big role, because Richardson did try and keep it outside, but then blink, contact.
I think it was a very brief encounter with a UFO that sucked him up into a UFO, made him disappear off the racetrack, and sadly that small little blink is going to cost him a lot. I'll tell you what, I've seen connection issues occasionally result in a little bit of contact. That's unfortunate when that kind of stuff happens, and I think he had another blink as well as we switch our attention to our leader of Josh Soto. But this small little technical issue can really make or break your race. I said in the open that it was going to be huge in terms of small little things in a driver's control, but it's also that small little stuff outside of a driver's control that can really wreck your race. And unfortunately, some drivers getting called out by that very early on.
And Soto, one of those who got the pass done early on, get ready to be the control car for this upcoming restart soon. Nathan Nicholson second. Had to pull back to the side for a moment. Jeansonne is in third. Gilliland in fourth. Greenfield rounding out your top five. Nicholson just catching up to the field. He is still scored the second place car. So we'll see how the restarts go here tonight. How do you think these restarts will play out, in your opinion? Why?
Ooh, that is a very good question. Honestly, at this stage, so early on into the race, these drivers will and probably should execute a whole lot of patience. We're only 7 laps in. We have a 125 lap race here. So at this rate, there's no real need to go for a bonsai crazy move. At this stage, what these drivers just need to do is whittle away the laps, and maybe if we have a restart in the final 50, that's when we're going to see these drivers turn out the wick a little bit. But coming to this restart in a few moments time, I just think these drivers just need to be patient and calm. It was some hard, respectful, and clean racing that we saw at the very beginning. Fingers crossed that that trend continues here on this restart.
Think of our restarts here on the Oval tonight, so getting themselves ready to go behind the iRacing pace car. Should be an interesting one to see now that they'll be strung along a little bit in terms of where they are in the queue. Again, happy with us here on Maconi Entertainment as we get ready for our first restart of the race coming on lap 9. Josh Soto in control. Some drivers already racing side by side. There goes Nicholson. And now green. I think some drivers thought it was they were running single file up until turn 4.
Yeah, I think there may have been some sort of crazy miscommunication. I wouldn't be too shocked if we see some penalties levied as a result of that, but you can see Soto still in the lead with Nicholson battling on hard, and he was one of the drivers that was shuffling around a teeny tiny bit. Very briefly overtook Soto under the yellow. We'll see if he picks up some sort of penalty, but right now he is trying to take the lead of the race on merit.
Trying to get to the inside to do it too, maybe a bit on the apron. No run to be able to take it. Jeansonne waits in the popcorn seat, trying to get some pokes. It almost looks like Nicholson feels like he has a chance to poke, but no place to take the run quite yet.
Yeah, I think that really is the case, but Rise, I say that side by side, hang it to turn number 1, Nicholson peeking a wheel. Now he's fully side by side alongside Soto. He's gonna have that run on the exit though. So now it looks like Nicholson, trying to take the lead of the race, is going to end up dropping down to P3. Yes, he is. Shows you the trouble of trying to overtake here at this track.
Jeansonne now trying to do the same thing inside. not able to make the run inside yet. They LQ back in line. You can tell they're changing up the lines just a touch bit on the angles now with how things are looking on so far. It's been an interesting one so far in terms of some of the battling, but seems like drivers prefer win single file inside when wanting to pass outside or that. Soto contact into the wall. He goes with Jeansonne. Caution.
Oh my God, he's flipping down the start-finish straightaway. That is bizarre. That was a horrible collision between those two coming out of turn number 4, and I partially blame myself because I said Soto was one of the drivers I was going to be looking out for, and not even 15 laps into this 125-lap long race, he already gets involved in some sort of incident. Here's a replay.
And watch, because Jeansonne already picked up on, you can make passes better from the high side. Tries to go high side. He accidentally nicks Soto, and then bam.
Oh my God, that was a bad crash for the both of them, and that was the strangest one of them all. Tapping the side of Soto's 07 car sent that 24 Mazda barreling through the air. Would that be a front flip or a back flip? I'm not entirely sure what the correct nomenclature would be for the maneuver that was towards the end of that for Jeansonne, but oh my God, here's an angle riding on board with him coming out of the corner in a small little, it was a faintest of taps, and bang into that outside wall, hitting him multiple times. And that final impact, I think, was the strangest one of them all. It looked like that 24 car was caught between ascending to the heavens and descending to the depths of hell. That sent him pretty much nose first into the ground.
And both of them picked up meatball flanks for the incident, so both will have to take time to come down pit road, get their cars fixed, and then regroup in this race. So that puts Nicholson up front. Let's take a look at what happened at the start, because again, why things were a bit misconjointed was Nicholson pulled to the side during the pace laps for a minute, then catch up to the field. That's why everybody was confused what to do.
Oh my God, riding on board with him, there are several collisions that nearly happened with Nicholson trying to catch up to the front. That was very bizarre, a bizarre series of events, it must be said, for Nicholson. And some strange stuff happening very early on into this race, it must be said, JP.
You know who's done a solid job getting into the field, by the way? Sally Mott. Mott already up to 3rd from the 10th starting spot.
As cutting her way through the field like a hot knife through butter, it must be said, and you can see currently running in 3rd in that pink, black, and white number 15 car. And considering the fact that we just saw the front two drivers beat and bang and rough each other up, sending each other into the wall, she may have a good shot to win this, it must be said. Running in 3rd, again, we are still very early on into this race, just ticking over the 16th lap of this 125-lap long race. But Sally, we may need to keep our eyes on her because she could be a force to be reckoned with throughout the rest of this race.
A lot of solid races for her so far. When it comes to the real world, as talked about, doing well in terms of the top female runner in that series. But the lights are off. They are double file. So initially we were single file because the Nicholson situation. We are double file is the confirmation. So let's try this once more. Nicholson in control. Gilliland outside. Green flag is out. And back underway. Clean launch. And already a lot of people making up ground. Trey Burke for the outside, trying to do things 3 wide. A bit of contact. Not a major ping pong for Greenfield, though.
Ooh, that was a pretty good save to keep it out of that inside barrier. That MX-5 car was all kinds of squirrely coming out of the corner. He has lost some time, though, and he may lose another position heading into 1.
Mott already up to 2nd with the moves early on in this run, though. Keith Carpenter, he's trying to use that outside wall, trying to use the runs and momentum to his advantage. Looking on board, you can see just how much speed he picks up down the straightaways.
running that outside line. One of the first drivers that we've seen really run that outside line exclusively. Hasn't worked out too well. Currently running in third, and we'll see if maybe could get the move done on Mott in the not too distant future. I'm not sure how bump drafting really works in these MX-5 Cup cars, I must say, but I think with the runs that he's getting coming out of these quarters, he may have to trial it here.
Yeah, we'll see what happens as time progresses, though. But Burke, despite the damage, trying to make some inroads. Same being said for Gillen as they try and shuffle back to the line. Joseph Byrne, side by side, now a poke in front, bottom side, Keith Carpenter.
Ooh, still side by side, heading into one, this time with a 15 on the outside and the 16 running right by the apron, getting very flirtatious with those painted lines on the inside. It's not going to work out too well, as it looks like the 15 is going to clear him heading into 3 and 4.
And again, the outside seems to be the line you want to take if you want to get going for a pass. Be able to squeeze on down. Burke doing the so. Just to make the pass now from the outside, a squish through the corner.
Well, these drivers are getting quite racy, it must be said, and with over 100 laps to go, JP, thankfully they've kept it out of the barriers and out of each other right now, knowing my luck, I probably just jinxed it as, ooh, that's very far up the track. That was very close to contact coming out of turn number 2 for our 4th place runner of Carpenter, and that number 16 car still reliably running that outside line. I don't think it's working out for him at all, as it looks like he's going to lose another spot, this time to Mulvihill.
Looks like that right now for some of these drivers, but you see the differences in lines yet again point out. The shorter distance around definitely helpful, it seems, at times. If you're not making a pass, great. You almost want to be in the middle, it seems.
Yeah, kind of like a half and half compromise. You want to take that much shorter line, and here at a track that's only 0.6 of a mile long, running that shorter line can make or break your lap. But 3 wide action here coming out of turn number 4. Those drivers nearly being and banging doors on corner exits. They're starting to feel even more racy. We're getting a long green flag run, and the longest so far in this race, and these drivers are getting more and more comfortable with their race cars and more comfortable with their competitors. Bump drafting going down that back straightaway, with Gillenland getting the bumper from Carpenter. Thankfully didn't get the bumper through the corner. However, he's got Carpenter on that outside line, and you can see a little bit of blinking, it must be said, from Gillenland, as he's now trying to get the move done to move his way into 3rd.
Oh, that is a lot of contact yet again with Mott. Gillen trying to go down, Mott trying to pinch up. And instead, Mott forced to reset up to 2nd. Our 3rd on track is Gillen with that move.
And these drivers are starting to spread out a little bit in the front running positions. However, right behind it is pandemonium. You can see side by side on corner exit actually nearly make that 3 wide coming out of turn number 2. These drivers, as I just said, they're getting a bit more comfortable with their competitors and their race cars, and they're experimenting a little bit more with the lines that they're running. 3 wide though, I feel like if these drivers run 3 wide for way too long, something is going to break. And here is Soto trying to stick it down the inside, very close to contact, heading through turns 1 and 2, but Soto with an amazing recovery drive got involved in that incident and nearly got sent with all 4 wheels up into the air. Now he is running up in 6th and trying to make up spots as quickly as he can. This has been a wonderful recovery from Joshua Soto.
It's not been an easy one, though. That being said, it's not close to done with him hard of the field with Carpenter. Loose moment, Mott. Greenfield bounces off. Here comes Soto.
Ooh, that was really close to contact coming out of the corner, but he's got to have that inside line, and they're making contact yet again. Close stuff with Soto. He does not want to have another incident hang through the exact same corner that he had one earlier on in this race. Incredibly close to contact, and again, side by side, heading through turns 1 and 2. Pretty close. It's millimeters separating those MX-5 Cup cars, and look at that run on the outside now, trying to get the move done on Mott is Greenfield. Very briefly got the move move done to slot his way into fourth. They're still going to be side by side. And oh my God, that was an amazing slide from Sally Mott heading through turns 3 and 4. That was a beautiful drift for the driver of the 15 car.
She's starting to really get loose. That's going to be one of the questions here. How does the tires play things out? The fall off for some drivers, up to a second. Most drivers up to 4/10 to fall off.
We have to think about that at this stage, JP. Will these drivers try and do something a little bit different when it comes to strategy? These tires are going to get chewed up. You can just see it from the patchiness of this asphalt. This asphalt's about as patchier than my face when I was 14. It is going to be acting like a cheese grater on these tires, and they are going to be in a lot of trouble handling-wise. I would not be shocked in the slightest if we start to see some drivers do some off-the-wall strategy calls.
Especially with, we've seen the requirement for one pit stop so far on the fuel on the road courses. Usually the drivers have been able to make it around the midway point, if not just past it, for that fuel stop. It's going to be interesting how long these cars are able to last, because normally you don't see this combination every day on this track. It's going to be an interesting pit sequence to see if people even take the tires or just take the fuel in those circumstances.
And I'm curious if some of these drivers are going to try and wait out for a yellow before they come down pit lane here at this track. Not a whole lot of time left there out on the racetrack, so if you come down pit lane, you may go multiple laps down, which would not be ideal in the slightest if a poorly timed caution came out. So maybe these drivers possibly holding out hope for some sort of yellow. Some of this hard battling for some of the drivers that are eyeing up pit stops is probably a welcome sight for them, because they would be praying for a yellow so they don't lose a whole lot of time coming down pit lane. Strategy is going to be huge, whether these drivers come down in packs or whether they just come down one at a time. It's really trying to think of what these drivers are thinking about and considering, because that's huge in iRacing. In real life, you usually have a team of strategists running the numbers and trying to figure out when is the best time to come down pit lane. Here in iRacing, unless you're running with like a big esports team, you don't have that at your disposal. You're just making the decisions on the fly, on your own, based off what you're feeling through that steering wheel. And right now, all these drivers are feeling a lot. They're feeling the bumps. They're feeling the pressure of the cars around them, but they're feeling their tires start to be worn down to the canvas as they're still going side by side a little bit farther up towards the front end of the field. At this stage, though, I'm curious if these drivers are going to be eyeing up pit stops before lap 50.
One say around 50. I almost want to say around the midway point exactly, because the trend has been, let's take a comparison for the ovals, to pit around lap 60, 70-ish. Most drivers in the trucks can go around 90 to 100, 110. Now that being said, they're not Mazda MX-5s. This is the true test on to see how long they last here tonight, to say the least. The liter totals and the gallon totals, mind you, is about 12 gallons or liters in the tank, give or take, for these drivers. So we're seeing interesting times when it comes to the drivers. Again, 11.9, the maximum amount of gallons you can put in the tank. A lot of wall painting starting to happen, though, on screen. Trey Burke in the wall.
That was a pretty significant whack, too, and you can see that car is not exactly in showroom condition. It must be said, it's wrinkled up quite a lot. A very sad-looking MX-5 race car locked in this very hard fight. Currently running in second as things stand at the moment. Gilliland has not really been able to make a move stick, even despite that contact coming out of turn number 2 just one lap ago. It's been a hard-fought fight for those final podium positions. One driver running to the mid to outside line. All these drivers are running completely different lines, and that's a good thing here about IRP. It's always unfortunate when you're seeing oval racing to see all the drivers locked into one single line. As an IndyCar fan, I felt that pain looking at the doubleheader in Iowa this past weekend when all the drivers were running at the bottom. Here at IRP, though, they can run all sorts of different lines with their own pros and cons, and we're seeing that right now. Some side-by-side action here involving Gilliland nearly 3 wide coming out of turn 4.
Gillen now getting shuffled back in the queue by Greenfield in particular. Still tech issues for Burke up top side as they try different things here. The fall off has gone an extra 2/10 off. It seems as though, yet again, there is a limit for how high you can go. Berg's testing that limit. He's losing a lot of ground with how his line's going, and I think that damage is starting to really build.
I'm curious if he's actually worn out his tires a little bit more with the damage that he has picked up. These MX-5 Cup cars, not the most aerodynamic monsters in the world, let's be honest. They are fairly simple race cars. However, with a small little bit of front-end damage still in these cars that don't have front or rear wings, that could still affect the way that car is driving and the way it is handling and the way it's cutting their way through the tires. And we're definitely seeing that right now as he's again dropping back, and Soto still running strongly. Nathan Nicholson still in the lead. And I'm curious here, JP, I'll ask you this. If there were to be a yellow to come out in the next few laps, would you make the decision to come down pit lane even though we're before that halfway mark?
It's a possibility. If you know you're not good on fuel, I wouldn't be surprised if we see that happen if that does happen. Now, if they are good on fuel, then it's, do you want to risk the track position?
That is a very good call. Track position here probably going to play a huge role as well. Lots of these drivers running in the pack, they are feeling the burn because they're trying to race as hard as they can. But if you're in clean air and if you're all by yourself and not really being persuaded to drive as hard as you can, maybe you'd start to be a bit more conservative on your tires as a yellow comes out.
Caution, caution. Keith Carpenter around, 2 laps down. Had been one of those who pit about a lap ago, in fact. And so that answers the fuel question. But now, that's going to bring us into a pit situation for many, since 2 different drivers, including Carpenter, pit and lost 2 laps initially.
Here is the replay on pit exit. I have a feeling he may have gone a slight love tap, that or he just cut down to the inside line. Yes, he did. He touched the apron a little bit, and despite this track being fairly flat in nature, still touching that apron sent him spinning around like a top. And getting back to the discussion we had not very long ago, JP, we were thinking, hey, if a yellow comes out, would you make the decision to come down pit lane? Now, this is not our hypothetical scenario. That is the real life conundrum that these drivers are having to deal with.
And so, this could get interesting in terms of the timing again. This caution comes up from here. It can happen if you hit the flat on the apron, you can just snap it.
Oh my God, he is very lucky that there wasn't another car coming. That would have been a horrible collision if he came back onto track at pretty much a complete 90-degree angle. But yeah, you just said it, JP. A small little tap of that apron is going to send you spinning around as I see cars down in pit lane.
And interesting enough, because the time to win the pit road can open behind the pace car, split decisions for your race leaders. Nicholson and Greenfield having to come in the second time around. Everybody else came in the first time. In fact, some drivers already have lost about a lap from their pit stops, believe, here.
Ooh, this is throwing a big wrench in the works. Nicholson's still in his box. Took some tires. I saw that car get jacked up into the air. Now just waiting on fuel, as I don't see the left side of that race car going up into the air. And I think that is a good call, not taking all 4 tires out and away. 27 seconds stopped in the pit box as he now rejoins the track. And thankfully for him, he won't have to deal with rejoining the surface and getting those tires back up to an optimum temperature under yellow. He's got the yellow flag period to try and get those tires up to a good operating window. I've seen in some of the races I've broadcasted in the past how important tire temperatures can be, and here at this track, right towards the start of this broadcast, I saw the graphic we put up on screen saying that the track temperature was about 69 degrees. And before anyone makes an inappropriate joke, I'll just say that that is going to create a whole lot of challenges in and of itself. And right as I say that, the track is actually 70 degrees. Still pretty cold though in the racing world, so those tires probably going to be a little bit skittish even on this restart with a whole lot of weaving. Still going to deal with some slightly colder tires, which in the world of racing is never good to deal with.
And so the field trying to organize itself under this caution. Of note, drivers like Mott and Burke lost a lap during the pit stop cycle. Burke, one of those with a lot of experience here, by the way. Sprint cars, USF 2000s, and Silver Crowns. And now will have to battle to try and get himself on the lead lap here. It looks like they're going to get the wave around sorted out to make sure those who did pit don't get pinned the lap down per se because of a pit stop.
And I think that is going to create even more chaos. But right as I say that, the pace car is coming down pit lane. We're about to get another restart here.
So this could get interesting. They've called it off for obvious reasons. So the field is still not ready. There are wave around cars that are in front of the race leaders here.
Oh boy, I was getting some very bad flashbacks to the Abu Dhabi Formula One race back in 2021. Right as the wave arounds were being done, then they decided to restart the race. Thankfully, some sense prevailing here as the pace cars back out on track. Is this just being extended by one lap? I think it is, as I see the lights are out on the pace car yet again. So I think this time by we are going to grab the green.
And they are still not organized, so they're going to reset it again. Yeah, there's a lot of people that are trying to pit. There's a lot of people that are still not lined up. There are wave around drivers still not yet to take the wave yet.
Oh boy, this is all kinds of jumbled up. That pace car is going to be on track more often than some of the drivers have been. If we have some more yellows in the second half of this race, we may have to consider some tire changes for that pace car. They are definitely trying to whip it around the track to rejoin in front of the leaders. I see the lights are out yet again, so is a pace car going to come back down pit lane. I still don't think the field is entirely sorted out though, but looks like we may be grabbing the green again. I'm not sure. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that we are, but I'm not holding out breath either.
No delays yet. They're still trying to catch the field at the back, but the front seems ready and will take the green. Joshua Soto, Andrew Gilliland, Glenn Richardson, Nathan Nicholson amongst your top four for the restart. And looks like the run's there high side. Soto has to come in for a black flag.
Oh, that is huge, and another setback for Josh Soto, the driver we saw involved in an incident earlier on in this race, getting hit with another one, but that penalty is going to be huge. He may come out one lap down as well, which unless we see another yellow is going to be a game ender. Tough stuff from Josh Soto.
Matthew White's in the same boat, by the way. He's already come down to serve it as well. So, looking for the point. The driver with lots of experience here, the Texas region-based competitor, Trey Burke, looking for the lead on the cross.
Ooh, blinking in and out yet again. I'm curious if that's going to play a role in this fight, and contact on corner exit running up the track. No quarters being given out by any of these drivers, and really no quarter is expected of their competitors either. Big wiggle from the 63 midway through the corner that checks up Gilliland, who's now cut to that inside line, but take a look at that 20 car of Greenfield gang involved in the mix as well.
Up to the third line, Burke make it to the second line. Despite the tech issues, doing well in the battle. Soto letting drivers go after the penalty. He's already lost a couple laps from it. Nicholson forced to reset his momentum. Burke able to keep the lead.
Oh, and you can still see side by side on corner exit beginning this lap. 68 laps left to go, and Trey Burke looking to try and pull away with the drivers going side by side a little bit farther behind him. Still side by side on corner exit. They have been incredibly aggressive in this exchange, and you can see it is not a two-horse fight. You've got some drivers trying to get in the mix as well. Primarily, you can see that car dancing around trying to figure out any way to possibly make it three wide with those drivers. That being, I believe Jeansonne has actually gotten the move done on Gilliland to move his way into P3. Still trying to get that move done though. He's stuck on the outside with Gilliland on that inside line. He's going to be able to clear him heading into turn 4. Now he's going to try and tackle P2.
Or block off again for the bottom by Greenfield. Greenfield doing a solid job this race. You have to give credit for not been able to get any lead laps yet. But he has to be due with how he's been able to handle himself in traffic. Nicholson with a problem. He got hooked up with Gilliland.
Holy crap, that was a fantastic drift from Nicholson. He's a driver in the MX-5s in real life. He is a wheelman for sure, and we just saw those skills get put on full display in that wheeling number 56. He was wheeling it for sure. That was mega sideways coming out of turn number 3. I think he should probably buy a lottery ticket, the fact he didn't end up in the barrier with how sideways he was.
Battles are back on as Jeansonne trying to run inside. Not able to make it work. The Courage Motorsport machine at Greenfield with the better run yet again. And these types of battles are trying to showcasing the adaptability by Aaron tonight. He's been able to move around line to line as momentum has shifted, especially when it comes to making passes. He's not afraid to adapt.
And at a track like this is huge. A whole lot of time in this race. We start off with 125 laps on the board, and with variable banking as well, it is played to his advantage quite a lot. Jeansonne, as you can see, currently running in third. The highest he's been is P2. He may try and go back to P2 right now. As you can see, some side-by-side action, trying to get that move done down the inside line, heading through 3 and 4, and he's going to get that move done. However, he won't have the best of exit going on to that start-finish straightaway, and the yellow's out again.
Caution flag is out for Sally Mott. Mark going around on the front straightaway, significant damage. And one of the big things that can happen, contact turn 4 seems to have been part of this case.
I would not rule that out at all. That number 15 car of Sally Mott is absolutely demolished. She is definitely going to have to make her way down pit lane. Not sure what in the world happened here. We'll have to take a look at a replay to see exactly what went wrong. But JP, I have a feeling that your hypothesis was definitely on the nose. Some contact coming out of these corners can be a detriment. It was actually side-by-side contact with a 13, drifted up a teeny tiny bit, goes around and bang into that concrete barrier. That was a big hit for the 15.
That's going to be a meatball flag as well for Mott. As a result of the contact, here's the look on board. This is with Burns, or rather with Mott.
Ooh.
And that contact to the inside blew the motor. And it looks like Mott might not have a fast repair on hand because she's getting the damage done manually. This will put her down a couple laps at minimum. As a result, Burke is in. The leader coming down to pit. Interesting call.
Yeah, this is a quite interesting call, and honestly, JP, I'm kind of with it for Trey Burke, because as much as he was running at the north end of the field and was probably feeling comfortable with the significant lead that he pulled, it was about 5 or 6 car lengths that he was teetering around for a decent chunk of that green flag run that we just had come to a close with that incident involving the 15 and the 13. I have a good feeling about this, honestly, because with 59 laps to go, don't think many other drivers are going to risk it for the biscuit and come in for new tires. Maybe that could work for Trey Burke. He's going to try and avoid pit lane like the plague for the rest of this, though, because if he does, he is going to be relinquishing any hope he had. Dropping down to P7, I think he's still on the lead lap as well. Man, this is an interesting call. I think it's going to work out like a charm if this is a final yellow of the race. But if there's another one a little bit farther down the line and some of these drivers come in for new tires again, that may end up biting him on the backside. We'll just have to wait and see.
Of note, during that discussion point, Gillen had, or rather should say Greenfield, also came down to pit. They are telling drivers that they have to regroup and get going here to be able to set up for the restart. So right now it seems like Joseph Burns is supposed to pass by cars, and that's causing an issue here.
Maybe a bit of a miscommunication possibly, or ooh, I think we have, is that him actually pulling off the overtakes that he needs to get done to serve that wave around? I think it may be, as the lights are out on the pace car yet again, and some of the cars are overtaking nearly 3 wide and almost a collision a little bit midway through the field. I would not be too shocked if the yellow gets extended once again, because the field still looks pretty disorganized coming to what could be another restart.
Yeah, they are not ready yet. Who is going to be the leader here? I don't think it's supposed to be Burns because he is running. Green flag, and... Huh?
I am just about as confused as you are as well, JP. Burns, I guess you could say, he pulled off one of the greatest laps ever at IRP, overtake the most amount of cars we've seen here at this track ever since it opened all the way back in the 60s. That could probably be a black flag, though. I would not rule that out, and nearly contact between Gulland and Nicholson heading through 3 and 4. I am just about as confused as you are, JP. This is a very strange and bizarre series of events that have transpired over the past few moments.
So Burns is the leader. An interesting point, he was towards the back initially, so interesting him being scored as the leader and no penalties. But he has Jeansonne closing up. Son trying to find a way to reel him on in, use the bottom. Burns is struggling to do that. Others having tech issues still is Burke, but he's making his ground back up fast.
Oh, he absolutely is. He is cooking it with the fresh tires on that MX-5 race car as he got moved done on the 71 of Ray Mulvihill. That was heading through turn 1 and 2 last time by, slipping his way up into P5 right now, and I'm not sure exactly where he was on that restart, but it seems like he's making up time as he's extending that gap between himself and the number 71 cars. They're going side by side and beating and banging and roughing each other up between the 71 and the 20. A little bit more contact heading through 3 and 4. We're getting towards the end of this race, JP, coming up to 50 laps to go, so maybe these drivers just breaking out the chrome or maybe plexiglass horn here a little bit.
Just a touch bit with how things have gone so far. Off a hill, nearly making contact with Greenfield. Greenfield trying to wrap the bottom. Soto getting boxed in as well. Up front, the battle for the race lead. Jeansonne trying to set it up.
I'm curious how this fight is going to play out between these two, because we just saw the yellow that ended up helping out Joseph Burns the most. Was running a little bit farther towards the back, then took the lead in a very bizarre series of events. But we saw him get involved in that incident earlier on with Mott. I mean, that was a very aggressive move. He tried to do a slide job maneuver heading into 3 and 4. So Joseph Burns feels quite confident in his race car, it must be said. And he's held off the challenge thus far. If he just plays a good defensive game, this could look very good for Burns.
Really good, based on the luck of the draw there. So, how long does the tires last? It's going to be a huge part of this. A lot of these drivers having to pit around 50 laps though, so amongst those that have had stretched the longest, Burns now already 34 laps of the run. Jeansonne now has the run. Nicholson looking to do the same. Battle for the race lead, 24 inside, able to make the pass on 13.
Oh, this is a hornet's nest right now. Jeansonne is going to be able to take the lead of the race for now. Look at Nicholson getting in the midst of that as well. Had a bumper down the inside of the number 24 car, heading his way into turn number 1. I don't think that move was on the cards just yet, but you got to keep your eyes on Nicholson. You got to keep your eyes on really all the cars running in the top 5 right now, because as we saw from that camera shot, and as we see from this camera shot, from the back end of the leader of Jeansonne, Nicholson, Burns, Burke, and Gilliland all involved as they're going 3 wide, heading through turn number 1 with Burke trying to get the move done on the apron.
Nicholson trying to clear through the needle, able to thread it and be able to stick it as Burns gets drop kicked out from the front spots. Burke also able to make the pass as a result there. So all of them reset and regroup, but Jeansonne in the lead, but Burke seems pretty committed to drive it like an oval.
He is driving the wheels off that thing right now as Nicholson nearly goes into the wall coming out of turn number 2. That was a little bit of a drift. Could have ended in absolute tears for Nathan Nicholson. But all these drivers are driving these MX-5s to the absolute limit of adhesion. Those tires, despite the fact they got put on not very long ago, are very much screaming in pain as Burke, blinking out of existence, still is trying to get that move done down the inside of Nathan Nicholson, making a little bit of contact midway through the corner they are. But as these two start to battle, Aaron Jeansonne is starting to pull away a little bit more. That gap is growing. It is continuing to extend as these drivers try and trade blows even more. Nicholson, he feels like he has a very fast race car, as does Jeansonne, our leader, as does Burke, and now running in P2. All these guys are very confident in the way their race cars are driving, and they're pushing it to the absolute limit to try and make sure they're the one with the trophy coming out of tonight.
Still 43 to go when they come to the stripe, though. Lots of time for things to happen, and a lot of these drivers possibly might need fuel soon. Already see Nicholson, one of the real world racers, coming out to play. We talk about things. Nicholson, one of the factory drivers for Mazda, trying to keep things at bay in third.
He is a very fast race car driver, as we've seen in the real-life Mazda series, and as we've seen from tonight as well. Start from the pole, currently running in third, as a very fast race car underneath him. Now, with the two battling side by side, Burke trying to get the move done on the outside of Jeansonne. We very much could see Nathan Nicholson get involved in this fight yet again. Those two going side by side and battling as hard as they probably will is going to be like they're dragging an anchor through asphalt. And soon enough, as you can see now, Nicholson back involved in that fight. Nicholson, as I was going to say, very fast race car driver. He has a very fast race car underneath him right now. But considering he runs in the real-life Mazda series, a little bit out of his comfort zone, because the Mazdas don't usually run on ovals outside of the non-championship race they're going to be having at Martinsville later on this year, as Nicholson trying to get that move done to slot his way into P2.
Nicely done yet again by Burke. Yet again, Burke just showcasing his experience at the track. We talked about that a little bit earlier on. How much does the real-world experience really come into play for a track like IRP? They're trying to match Burke's line now.
I think maybe trying to follow the leader in a sense. They certainly do not want to follow the leader all the way to the checkered flag, but at this stage, maybe feeling a little bit less aggressive. As you said not very long ago, JP, we've still got 39 laps to go here at IRP. We haven't even broken that 100 lap barrier. We've seen a whole lot of aggression thus far. Still seeing some aggression with drivers running inside that top 5 fight. But at this stage, these drivers may be taking it a teeny tiny bit more careful than they have so far in this race, realizing, hey, we've got a decent amount of time left to go. A yellow at this stage would really overcomplicate things in this race. So at this stage, maybe these drivers taking it a little bit calm just to try and have a good, clean run to the finish.
Seems to be the case for many, as just to say that, a bit of contact there. That's why it looks like that there with Greenfield. Some of these drivers, not so much playing the patience game. Some of them not afraid to make bumper-to-bumper contact.
Oh, they are not afraid at all, as we saw that beautiful camera angle that was heading through turn 3 and 4, I believe, of the inside of the engine bay of a Mazda MX-5 Cup car. Rarely, if ever, on iRacing broadcasts do you get to see that. We're really breaking new grounds here on Maconi Entertainment with a nice technical look inside these MX-5 race cars. I think if we took a look at a lot of bumper cameras, we would be seeing that view quite a lot, because these drivers are feeling a bit more racy, they're feeling a bit more aggressive, even though they're trying to settle into a groove of things. And you can see these front three. It's basically Burke at this stage is actually, no, that is Burke leading the race. My apologies. He is pretty much the Pied Piper currently. He is leading them on that outside line, but right as I say that, Nicholson trying to cut down the inside line, trying to go for the 2-for-1 deal, heading through 2.
Almost made contact again, though. 34 laps to go at the stripe, and Nicholson looking to get aggressive. Seems as though everybody has learned from Burke.
they're treating him like the master of this race, and considering how Trey Burke has overcome adversity, got involved in that collision earlier on in the race with Joshua Soto, he has cut his way back through the field, running in the lead of the race. So obviously he is a very fast race car in this race. He is just mastering this track, though. That is big. Just being able to have a little bit of oval expertise can be huge in a race like this, where you're trying to figure out what line is best. Do I run a little bit closer towards the wall and have the banking to help me out? Do I run in the middle, or do I run all the way on the bottom, have the shortest line, but put a bit more strain on my tires? As again, Nicholson going side by side with the 24 of Jeansonne, heading through 3 and 4 right now, but looks like Nicholson very close to contact with Burke. He had to get Avid big time coming out of the corner, and that's going to drop him down to P3 yet again. Nicholson at this stage, I feel like the best call for him would probably be to back Avid. I mean, he's got red hood on his race car, so I think at this stage he's possibly seeing the red mist a teeny tiny bit and feeling really, really racy. With him running on the bottom, though, he is going to cook those tires if he tries to do that for so long. Nicholson at this stage may be putting himself in a little bit of a pickle when it comes time for the end of this race.
Possibly, especially with the fuel numbers already 46 laps to the run. We'll see how long these drivers are able to go this run. This is our longest run just about coming up for a lot of these drivers. Lap traffic is playing a factor, though. Burns stuck at high side. Jeansonne trying to run inside.
Oh boy, lap traffic. We haven't really talked about it at all throughout this broadcast, but just threw a huge wrench in the works. Nicholson making a 3 wide hang through turn number 3 with Jeansonne in the middle and Burke running around the outside. I don't have a good feeling about this. One of these drivers is going to have to back out of it, and it's going to be Nicholson. At this stage, though, he's seeing those two race hard and going side by side right in front of him. At this stage, even though he was getting involved in that fight just a few moments ago, he's probably thinking, hey, I'm going to sit in this position. I'm going to wait for these knuckleheads in front of me to try and wreck into each other. At this stage, that could be a viable option because we're under 30 laps to go right now at 29, coming to 28 this time by. We're seeing these drivers be even more aggressive than they have been so far in this race. Something's going to break. The real question is, what's going to break first?
What a 27 to go. Still side by side for second in all this. Right now, Jeansonne still running high side. Middle side, Nicholson trying to make it work. Burke still preferring his groove, same as Jeansonne. And a reset. And at this point, if everyone's running the top, how do you get the run to make the pass for what we've seen? No one's been able to make it work at the end of this run inside.
I think the real debate when it comes to whether these drivers are going to be able to get the move done to take the lead is mainly just down to comfort zones. Are these drivers comfortable in a whole lot of different areas of the racetrack? Are they comfortable to run down the inside? Are they comfortable running up towards the walls? A yellow has come out.
And not sure, but I believe, actually not quite sure where the caution came from this time. Race control did call it, so I'm wondering if fuel mileage may have something to do with it because everyone's pitting.
Oh, that was a late call from Nicholson. He nearly went into the grass coming into the pits, but Nicholson coming in compared to the other two who have stayed out. An interesting call towards the end of this race from race control to bring the yellow out just because of fuel strategies. Not sure I exactly agree with the call to bring out a yellow as a case like that. Nicholson, thankfully for himself, he hits his marks beautifully down in pit lane. Let's see how it shakes out with Nicholson and Soto coming in pretty much at the same time.
We'll take a quick commercial break. When we come back, more racing from IRP. You're watching Maconi Entertainment.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need, Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone alongside Maconi Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com. maconientertainment.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to tonight's coverage here on IRP. Here on Maconi Entertainment, Justin with you, Ron Mons on side. Our producer, DJ Lyon. Coming up to the restart this time, Wings and Wheels continuing on from IRP. It's going to come down to a 21-lap shootout. This should be an interesting one, Ron.
Yeah, I'm really curious as to whether or not we're actually going to run those 21 laps under yellow, actually under green, or if we're going to have another yellow thrown in the works. Only time will tell coming to the restart this time by.
Only a couple didn't pit. Greenfield and Carpenter. Green, Carpenter tried to jump it. Black flag for Mott, but it's 3-4 wide.
Oh, and look at Mott, incredibly slow on that outside line. That was dangerous stuff heading through turns number 1 and 2. Thankfully, the field negotiated that drama fairly clean, but some being and banging coming out of turn number 2. These drivers are seeing the end of this race come. We're over that 100 lap mark. They are not giving any sort of room out there on the racetrack. They're going to be beating and banging and roughing each other up and racing as hard as we've seen so far tonight.
Already seeing Greenfield pull away from this. It's still 2 and 3 wide. Soto up the middle. Carpenter hits the wall. That allows Burke to get a run.
Oh boy, this is some tense stuff involving all of these cars. Greenfield is still leading, and he's pulling away a 1-second gap over the P2 runner of Nicholson. That is a fantastic restart. He wants nothing to do with the madness going on right behind him. Drivers slide jobs, going for some slide jobs, and also running the wall. That was an incredibly interesting line. I don't believe... I'm trying to figure out exactly what car that was. Running the wall, heading through turns number 1 and 2, but that was a beautiful drift from the number 71, heading through 3 and 4. We are getting to the end of this race, and these drivers are getting to the end of their grip in those tires. They're going to be worn down to the canvas by the time the checkered flag comes out, but even with the tire wear and the pain that these drivers are probably feeling with these ill-handling race cars, they are still pushing it to the absolute limit of control.
And we've had a crash at the back. Glenn Richardson involved. Also involved Keith Carpenter, Matthew Wyatt. And we're under yellow once again with 17 to go.
Oh, and that's going to throw another wrench in the works. Another restart for these drivers to have to deal with. Some wave arounds, possibly extending this yellow. I'm not too sure if we will get an extended yellow as we have had with the past few. But still, this is going to ramp up the pressure even more. That restart was insane, JP, and with even less laps on the board with this restart that we're going to have in a few moments' time, it is going to be cranked up to 11.
And so this is why we're under caution right here.
Oh.
Yeah.
I gotta say, that was a kamikaze dive from the 9, in my opinion. What about you, JP?
Yeah, that was a little bit of a low line, but also offset 3 wide seemed to be. But here's the thing. This closes the gap for Greenfield. He had a perfect start. Not going to be so easy now.
If anyone was dreading a yellow flag coming out, it was going to be Greenfield. He was checked out and he pretty much had it golden. A 1 second gap is definitely insurmountable considering how challenging this track is. A second gap could diminish in the span of just one single corner, but Greenfield still hates to see this yellow come out. He's gonna have to pull another rabbit out of the hat on this restart if he wants to have a comfortable run coming to the checkered flag, and along with having a good restart, he's also going to have to hope and probably pray that the drivers stay out of each other's way a little bit farther behind him. We said earlier on in this broadcast that factors in your control and the tiny little things can make or break your race, but for Decon Greenfield, it can be the small little stuff completely out of your control as well. That was a fantastic restart. We're just going to have to see if he does it again. What do you think, JP? Is lightning going to strike twice for Greenfield, or do you think it's going to be a lot tougher on this restart?
I think it's going to be a lot tougher. We're still at 2 laps to go till the restart, but it's going to be a different circumstance. You'd have to think you won't have lap traffic. As long as it's a bit of a cleaner run through 1 and 2, this might open up the door for Nicholson.
Oh, this could be his golden opportunity. Gonna have that golden ticket completely stamped for a one-way ride up towards the front of the field. Could we see him become the train conductor of an absolute train towards the end of this race? How are things going to shake out is a real question. There's just so much that is going to go in to the end of this race. How are the drivers' tires doing? How are they feeling in reference to their competitors? What kind of lines are they going to run? Are they going to be racing aggressive on this restart? Are they going to try and take it a little bit calm, just thinking there's going to be another yellow? There is just so much stuff to try and think about if you're one of these drivers, and so many factors for us to consider as well in the commentary booth. Honestly, JP, I have no idea how this race is going to end. I don't know who's going to win, but I think either way, it's going to be dramatic and incredibly entertaining.
Let's see how this goes. Coming to 12 laps to go. In control is Greenfield. Nicholson alongside. Into the restart zone. Green, green, green. And here it comes Burke. Burke wants to push Greenfield to start the restart. Soto 3 wide. Contact for Burke off Nicholson.
Oh, I had a feeling that was going to happen with how aggressive Burke was on that restart, giving the boot scoon boogie to Greenfield, hanging to turn number 1 out, at least just giving him the bump draft. Now it looks like Greenfield nearly going to run into the path of Nicholson, who spun round.
Caution flag. He's spun into the wall, and lots more collected. Mulvihill, Gilliland, and more involved. Glenn Richardson doing the same thing. And that ends up giving meatball flags to a third of our field.
Oh, that was a field clear, but I can't say that was entirely unexpected, JP. With how hard all these drivers were racing, it was a matter of when, not if. 10 laps to go. It's going to be under 10 laps to go. Once we grab the green again, we're going to see just as much as what we saw here, if not cranked up another notch. And here it was. Burke pretty much coming in for the kill, and you could just see, oh my god, that was a field clear with a 13 involved as well. You gotta feel bad for Nicholson, as even more insult added to injury with contact with Gilliland, trying to get it back going on that start-finish straightaway. Gotta take a look at another angle, this time from a different perspective here, and oh my god, my voice is pretty much giving out from how action-packed it's been. You can see some bumping already, that time hang through turns 1 and 2, and then just heading here into turn number 3. 3 wide into turn number 3 is a recipe for disaster. That number 57 MX-5 Cup car is all but destroyed. Oh man.
Oh man is all you can really say to that. And that puts us under the yellow flag. With under 10 laps to go, Soto, along with Greenfield, Burke, Jeansonne, Gilliland, Mulvihill, are once your final contenders left without significant repairs. It appears here, check that, Mulvihill still yet to pit. Not too many had faster pairs remaining either, so this could be huge for Soto in particular, who was scored as the leader on the 3 wide.
Yeah, this is going to be big for Soto, and I'll tell you what, it's a storyline that we've continued to follow all throughout tonight's race. Coming back from adversity, Josh Soto has done it a lot tonight. He was running up towards the north end of the field, got involved in an incident coming out of this corner and hitting that outside barrier that you see with the tire marks on coming out of turn number 4. Got involved in a huge collision there. That wrecked his race car. That was him and Burke involved in that collision. They're now running 1 and 3 in all this drama. Then Soto got involved in that incident, dropped back, then he came back up to the front of the field, then he picked up a black flag that he had to serve while leading the race. Then he got dropped back again, and now he's back in the lead with 8 laps to go here. Soto at this stage, I'm really not sure what his thoughts are coming in to the final stages of this race. Maybe if I were him, I may be a Debbie Downer somewhat, but I would just expect another falling anvil to hit me at any given time, considering how his race has gone so far at IRP. But again, coming to a restart, which is going to be 6 laps left to go if we grab the green this time by. Soto at this stage may be feeling a bit more comfortable now. Those negative thoughts probably not occupying a racer's mind. You want to be fully optimistic and fully ready to mash that throttle pedal on this restart. We've seen some dramatic restarts ever since we came back from that commercial break not very long ago. The first one was hectic, the second one was chaotic, and this upcoming one is going to be delayed.
Lights back on top of the iRacing pace car. Field wasn't fully sorted, so a delayed restart. Soto, Greenfield, your front 2, followed by Burke, Jeansonne, then Gilliland and Nicholson. Nicholson took some time to get some repairs done. He's got no front clip though. Right, Mulvihill's in the same boat. Then it's Burns a lap down. Richardson and Carpenter are also a lap down each. Coming up to 5 laps to decide it, and Mulvihill's car is blown up.
Oh boy, that is trying to emit some kind of smoke signals. He's going to come back down pit lane along with that pace car. I don't think that's going to extend the yellow yet again though, but with less laps on the board, this is going to ramp up the pressure even more.
6 cars to have a shot, 5 laps to do it. iRacing pace car all running off. Green. Burke tried to jump it. Burke with the push. Nicholson tries to jump it. Now Gilliland tries to jump it. 3 wide in the battle for 3rd. Burke able to go for 2nd. Drop back to Greenfield to P2. Nicholson without a front clip is moving.
He is wheeling that MX-5 race car to no end. At this point, he's lost his front end. At this point, he has nothing else to lose. He is going to be pushing it like high hell towards the end of this race. Now with 4 laps to go, is he going to try and battle for the win? He's definitely scrappy though, running right by that apron. All these drivers going to try and battle for the win. This is going to get intense in the final 3 laps of this race.
Coming 2 to 3 laps to go this time by. Can Soto defend all the lanes? Can Greenfield find a way to get alongside? All running to 3rd once again is Burke. Burke's been the Pied Piper in terms of preferred lines all night as well. He's got damage again though and is losing ground with a tech issue.
They're nearly 3 wide coming out of turn number 2. These drivers feeling incredibly racy at this stage, and I said this point earlier on, and I'll mention it again. Coming to 2 to go this time by is Burke running incredibly wide, heading through 3 and 4. You got to wonder about these drivers' comfort zones. Are they comfortable running different lines? Are they comfortable experimenting? And are they comfortable just giving it an absolute send towards the end of this race? We've got a slow car involved as well. That could play a role in this finish coming on the white flag this time by.
Coming up to the final time around here from IRP. Soto playing strong defensively. Greenfield up the track. Near contact for 2nd. Lap traffic stays high. Forces Soto low. Here comes Greenfield trying to defend for 2nd. Burke forced up the track. 3 wide for 2nd. Offset to 2. Through the final corner though, as they fight hard for 2nd, as Burke tries to rip the spot away, and does for the straightaway. It's Soto who takes the straightaway to take the win at IRP.
Amazing drive from Josh Soto. He had to come back from adversity on multiple times tonight. He got involved in an incident. He got hit with a penalty and he dropped down the running order. But despite that, he was tenacious throughout the 125 laps here at IRP and is ending up taking the win. Beautiful stuff from Josh Soto. If he burns this thing to the ground, he will have definitely earned it.
And he went front, back, everywhere, as you said. And now we'll get the chance to try and burn it on down in MX-5. Once again, Soto, a points race winner here tonight on Maconi Entertainment. So on celebration on for Soto. In the end, 23 laps led. We'll take a break. Post-race coverage after this.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need, Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone alongside Maconi Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to tonight's coverage here on Maconi Entertainment for tonight's Wings and Wheels Racing MX-5 action coming up to the close here this evening. Let's take a look at your unofficial race results here tonight from Indianapolis Raceway Park. In the end, it was Josh Soto who took the win. Soto takes it by 3/10 over Burke and Greenfield. Then Jeansonne in the 4th spot. Nicholson, Gillen, Burns, Richardson, Carpenter, Mulvihill. Amongst your top 10 finishers here tonight, Mulvihill the first of the DNFs. Other DNFs tonight include Wyatt Mott did finish 31 laps down in this race. Let's look top to bottom at the running order here tonight, but your top runners and more standing on by. Let's talk with Josh Soto, your race winner here tonight. Josh, how does it feel to win this race? Another points-paying race your direction.
Oh man, it's great. Like, the funny thing is, I thought we were racing at Indianapolis, the road course, but coming into this practice, it was and then I seen it was oval. I didn't think I was going to do good this race.
How so?
Oh, I'm not really a oval driver, but yeah, so I'm not too used to like oval racing, but I do have a little bit of experience, but yeah, I was just surprised.
Well, on that note here, this in turn helps with your points lead here. What's it like being the points leader?
Oh, it's great. Yeah, everybody here is like really, really great drivers. So it's I really can't explain it. But yeah, it's fun racing out here with with drivers that are in the MX-5 Cup and things like that.
Mid-Ohio is the next race here, Josh. Your thoughts on Mid-Ohio, the next race?
Yeah, Mid-Ohio is a really great track. It's one of my favorite tracks. I've been up there racing it once, so I'm really excited for the next race.
Anything else you'd like to add before we let you celebrate?
Yeah, I would like to thank Wings and Wheels for this series. And I'd also like to thank Maconi Broadcasting. You guys do a great job. And I'd also like to thank CGT and also my family and my friends for their support.
Joshua Soto coming away with the win tonight. Congratulations.
All right, thank you.
So Soto takes the win here tonight. Second spot went the way of Trey Burke. The Trey way, as some would call it. He led the way much of the time. He's with Ron.
Trey, thank you for joining us in the commentary booth. It was a hard-fought evening from you here at IRP. Talk us through a dramatic race from your perspective.
Yeah, it was definitely a chaotic one. I was actually out doing stuff with other racing obligations, so I wasn't even sure if I was going to make the race. So of course I came in here with no practice laps, just kind of qualified, I think, like 7th. And of course I qualified on the top. That's just a normal line that I thought people ran at IRP in any car. And then everybody in the Discord said it's on the bottom. So I knew I'd be fast considering, what I qualified 7th, not even on the right racing line. So being able to kind of venture out there with the 125 laps to figure it out kind of gave me an edge. It's helped that I've raced here a few times in some different cars. So definitely thankful for the amount of laps that we had. And I know I took tires quite a few times. I just kind of got curious on what they would do. And I was hoping it'd be kind of a long stretch at the finish there and we wouldn't have so many cautions. And I think it would have really played into my favor, but just the way it goes.
Well, I'll tell you what, despite the fact he didn't put in a single lap of practice, leading 27 laps and ending up second here at IRP is still not a result to scoff at. You mentioned running the top line and feeling comfortable to try and run all around the racetrack. Could you talk us through how just being in a good comfort zone is important in these oval races?
Yeah, it's pretty big, especially considering, I race much as it is. I'm not even on my own sim. It's my roommate's. So, being able to follow these really fast guys and on the bottom, it was just kind of like, okay, well, I'd rather go somewhere, try it out. And, if I fall back, I fall back. And so the car was really stable the whole time. And like I said, being able to take tires, kept the fresh rubber really nice. And I was able to keep digging. And the whole track was really good, even all the way up at the fence to the really, really far down on the bottom. So I think it was just kind of driver's preference. And I chose the momentum.
Next time out, we're going to be running at Mid-Ohio, a much different track compared to the one we ran at here tonight, as well as the few weeks ago on the 4th of July. So what are your thoughts heading into that race in the not-too-distant future?
Yeah, I like Mid-Ohio. I've driven a couple different cars there in real life, and I do actually like it on iRacing pretty much. I think it's a really good track. Unfortunately, these guys are professional MX-5 drivers, so maybe I can get some practice before the race and not have to be so behind the ball.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think you're still going to be a broadcaster's favorite if you're the center of attention as you were throughout tonight's race here at IRP. Trey Burke, thank you for joining us in the commentary booth. Is there anyone you want to give a thanks to or shout out?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely everybody at Wings and Wheels Foundation, Mark and Alora, they're incredible and giving us this kind of platform and opportunity to do fun events like this. Rick at RFL Facility Solutions, yeah, he's awesome as well. I hope to work with him a lot more in the future, and maybe we can keep things going.
Alrighty, well, there you go, Trey. Thank you for joining us in the commentary booth. Congratulations on the P2, and hope to see you at Mid-Ohio on August the 1st. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys. I'll see y'all.
Once again, Trey Burke coming away in second tonight. Deacon Greenfield finished his way inside the top 3. Deacon, what was the car like with how things were playing out up front?
Yeah, I took a gamble on my strategy. I went really long on tires, and it did kind of bite me in the butt at the end. But I had a lot of fun. I just tried to have the best time I could, and I really did.
In your opinion, how tricky was this combination? Why?
Well, we had a really good setup for the race. It was really well prepared. The track was fairly easy to learn, but in the end, it was really just down to who played tires and fuel and their line choice the best.
So next time out, Mid-Ohio. Your thoughts on Mid-Ohio and how comfortable are you with that track?
I definitely have some more time to find at Mid-Ohio, but that is a track very familiar to the MX-5 Cup platform, so I'm really excited and to put in some work and have some more fun.
Any shout-outs you'd like to give here tonight?
I want to thank OG Racing, Courage Motorsports, and Cam Eben for putting on so many 8 p.m. Charlotte Oval sessions that I could get some Oval experience.
Well, on that note, congratulations on the run here tonight.
Thank you.
Once again, that is Deacon Greenfield coming away in third spot. Aaron Jeansonne, he's standing by, this time with Ron.
Well, Aaron, thank you for joining us in the commentary booth. It was an equally dramatic race from your perspective. I feel like we could say that about a whole lot of the drivers running in this race. Talk us through it from your perspective.
Yeah, there was a lot that went on there. I was caught up in an unfortunate incident racing for the lead early in the race. Had to use my one fast repair like right away, went a lap down and had to wait for the lucky dog. And I knew I had pace in my car, so just had to stay patient there. And ended up in the battle for the lead again later on in the race. And there was a caution towards the end. It was pretty tough to know the right decision on strategy, and I made the wrong one. I came in and got tires, and we just didn't quite have enough time the rest of the race for those tires to work and catch up to the drivers that didn't take them. So just ran out of time there at the end, but it was fun racing up front and battling side by side for a lot of that race.
And now you mentioned using the fast repair earlier on, and I kind of want to harken on that point. Did having to use that fast repair earlier on into tonight's race kind of change the way you attack the rest of it, or did you still just go the way you usually would, even if you had that fast repair in your back pocket?
It's super marginal. I mean, just a little bit. Like there were a couple times after that in the race where I had an opportunity to put my car somewhere, and I just thought twice about it and thought, if I put my car there and something happens, that's it. But I was still, really aggressive, and you still have to make moves and you have to make passes. So I just took it down 1% after that until the end.
And so next time out, we're going to be running at Mid-Ohio. How do you fancy your chances there on August 1st?
Oh, I love Mid-Ohio. We just had the IMSA MX-5 Cup series there not too long ago, just a few weeks ago, and I felt really fast there, made up a lot of spots in the race there, and ran up front and had a lot of pace. So it's always been a track that I feel like suits my style, and it's very, very technical. So I always enjoy it, and definitely fancy my chances.
Well, there you go, putting a bet out on yourself already. I won't speak on that matter because even though I won't be on the broadcast on that race, I don't want to give you a commentator's jinx on this one. So well done on the P4 result and well done on leading 10 laps here tonight. Is there anyone you want to give a thanks to or shout out?
Oh, thank you so much, man. Lots of people to thank, but obviously everyone that came together, put the series together. Happy to have Ray out there running with us and representing the Wings and Wheels Foundation and GGT for sponsoring the series. It's coming together really nicely. I'm glad to have quite a bit of people joining in and making a competitive races out of it on different types of tracks. I think it's pretty awesome.
And on a slight extension of that, it was very nice to be a part of this race and see this wonderful racing action that you were a part of. Congratulations on that P4 and hope to see you next time out at Mid-Ohio. Thank you for joining us, man.
Thanks so much.
Aaron Jeansonne coming away in fourth, and we do have one more standing on by. Nathan Nicholson wanting to speak things over. Nathan, what was the car like to close things out? You didn't have a front clip and still drove top 5.
Yeah, I was actually surprised with how well it handled. There's not a whole lot of straightaways here, which was, I think, where most of the damage was. So I was fortunate with that, but, still picked up some points for the championship.
Inter, what was going through your mind to a race like this tonight where it seemed like the bottom was dominated first and the top moved up for momentum? What was going through your mind with all the lane progression?
Yeah, the lane progression at this track is super interesting. So like you said, at first the bottom was where everyone was running. It was more defensive and it was fast. But, once you got past like the 20th lap on the tires, it really started to fall off. And I was actually pleasantly surprised with how well this track raced with these cars. Obviously, this is not a pairing that was originally intended with the creation of this car, but it was awesome to drive.
How do you feel about Mid-Ohio next time out?
Yeah, so a lot of experience at Mid-Ohio, and it's a classic with these cars. So looking forward to doing that and racing with these guys some more. It's been a blast so far.
So on that note now, once again, anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I mean, a really big shout out to GGT and Wings and Wheels Foundation for putting this on. It's a great opportunity, great series, and I've been having a lot of fun with it.
Once again, congratulations on the top 5 here tonight, Nathan.
Thank you.
Nathan Nicholson rounding out the top 5 discussions here this evening. I'd like to thank everyone taking the time to speak with us during post-race coverage here from IRP. Next race is Mid-Ohio. Your thoughts on that one, Ron?
Oh, it is going to be just as chaotic as we saw here tonight, but with less of an oval kick. Road racing in MX-5s is always incredibly intense. We've seen this combination in real life. These MX-5 Cup cars can put on a great show, regardless of what kind of track they're running at. So that is going to be a must-see broadcast here on Maconi Entertainment in just a couple of weeks' time. That is going to be incredibly intense at Mid-Ohio on August the 1st.
We'll see how August 1st plays things out. Once again, 8 p.m. the start time. We go racing once again from Mid-Ohio. On that note, though, it's time to say goodbye from IRP. Calling the action tonight was myself, Justin Prince. Ron Mons was in the booth. DJ Lyon was our producer. Thanks as well to our viewers for watching tonight's action, and we hope you stay tuned to our social media pages for our next race. Thanks to the entire staff for their work in bringing this racing to you. This has been a production of Maconi Entertainment. We'll see you next time when we go racing for the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course.